Newsfirst at 9.
A very good evening to you and welcome to the News at 9 live from the Newsfirst Centre in Colombo. I'm Nadim Majid.
And I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. First a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Headlines on Newsfirst at 9.
Baduralia Hospital closed for the 6th day. Doctors say they cannot be satisfied with the security at the hospital, while the police say it is prepared to provide security to the staff. New chairman sworn into local government institutions, of which budgets were defeated. Budgets of another 2 Pradeshia Sabhas defeated. Remains of 135 unidentified tsunami victims still remain at the Karapitiya Medical Faculty. Commonwealth family ties are a source of encouragement. A Christmas message from Queen Elizabeth II.
Newsfirst at 9.
And now for the stories in detail. The hunger strike, which commenced last evening in protest of the lockdown at the Baduralia Divisional Hospital, entered its 2nd day today.
Now the hospital itself has been closed down for 6 days. The hunger strike, commenced by parliamentarian Palitha Theura Perume and others, was dispersed by the police last night. Those who came in 5 or 6 police jeeps acted like animals and removed the black flags. They assaulted the people. They had come to open the hospital. I told them, remove the black flags and open the hospital if you can. I put this on so that I cannot be taken away from here even if I am dead. The police say that the protesters were dispersed because they had engaged in the hunger strike by obstructing the road. However, the hunger strike, which commenced for a 2nd day this morning, also received the blessings of the monks. An individual who was at the scene of the protest in support of the hunger strike had fallen ill and was taken away by the police to another hospital.
ඉතාමත් ඉක්මනින් මේ සඳහා තීන්දුවක් අරගෙන ආරෝග්‍ය ශාලා විවෘත කරන්න කියලා තම තමන්ගේ පෞරුෂයන් පිළිබඳව හිතමින් කටයුතු කිරීම මහත් ලොකු අපරාධයක් හැටියට මම දකින්නේ.
මෙතනට දවස් 5ක් යනකම් එක බලධාරියෙක් මෙතනට ඉදිරිපත් වුණේ නැහැ.
කෝ සෞඛ්‍ය ඇමතිවරු මේකට මං හිතන්නේ ඇස් ඇරෙන්න ඕනේ බලධාරීන්ගේ ඇස් ඇරෙන්න ඕන තමයි හොඳ.
Shops in the Baduralia town remained shut today in protest against the closure of the hospital. The Baduralia hospital has been closed since Saturday owing to an incident where a person who had brought a patient to the hospital for treatment is alleged to have threatened the hospital staff. In-house patients were therefore transferred to the Kalutara General Hospital. The individual who is alleged to have threatened the hospital staff told Newsfirst that a police complaint against him has not been lodged as yet. Staff at the Baduralia Divisional Hospital, which was closed down for 5 days, reported for duty in uniform this morning. However, patients are not being treated at the hospital.
දැන් වෙලාව පෙරවරු 10:30යි. Baduralia Pradesh Rohale හෙද නිලධාරීවරුන්
Although nurses at the Baduralia hospital are in uniform, they point out that they cannot treat patients as there are no doctors. The emergency unit is closed at the moment, and although other units have been opened, the nurses say they cannot treat patients without the doctors.
හෙද නිලධාරීවරුන් පවසන්නේ ඔවුන්ට ප්‍රතිකාර කිරීමේ හැකියාවක් නැහැ වෛද්‍යවරුන් නොමැතිකම හේතුව නිසා කියලා.
Newsfirst inquired from the Government Medical Officers Association as to why the hospital remains closed, despite the police affirming that security has been beefed up at the Baduralia Divisional Hospital. It does not appear that security has been ensured. On a prior occasion, when a similar incident occurred at the Banagiri Hospital, we asked the doctors to return to work. We had to fall behind on that occasion, and we are now of the view that we cannot be satisfied with the police protection that they are speaking of. The district medical officer has not shut down the hospital and run away.
district වෛද්‍ය නිලධාරීවරයා ගිහිලා නැහැ.
Already we have deployed 60 police officers along with 2 police emergency vehicles. If the hospital is open, if they are seeking security from the police, we are going to provide maximum security accordingly.
Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Dr. Nihal Jayatilaka, said that an investigation will be conducted into the incident.
මේ රෝහල වහලා තියෙන්නේ කිසිම දැනුම් දීමකින් තොරවයි.
This hospital has been closed down with no prior warning. Okay, let us say that he was threatened. Has he lodged a complaint against this? Then the police can enforce the law. I do not know why a group of doctors are acting in this way. These are innocent people. I think closing down a hospital for 6 days like this is a sin. If the doctors are saying that they are not safe, then they must speak to the police and say this is the protection we want. And if the authorities are saying it is being closed down illegally, then why can they not reopen it? As politicians, we will give the maximum support that we can. We cannot allow this to aggravate. If the government takes strict action, then the GMOA will say it was action taken against them and go on strike. Meanwhile, MP Palitha Thevara Perumas says that he received a phone call today from the chairman of the UNP's Leadership Council regarding this incident. Chairman of the Leadership Council of the UNP, Karu Jayasuriya, called me over the phone. He asked me what was the problem. I told him that it is a hunger strike. Then he wished me. I asked him whether he was wishing for my death. I then switched off the phone. Since this morning, Karu Jayasuriya has been saying that Palitha has received more publicity than he deserves. He wants me to stop. I condemn this statement. If this protest ends before I die, the first thing I would do is hand over my letter of resignation from the post of Chief UNP Organizer of the Matugama electorate.
An incident that left an indelible mark of shock, grief and tragedy in Sri Lanka's history occurred 9 years ago.
So of course now this tragic incident took place exactly at 9:25 in the morning on the 26th of December 2004 and since then has been commonly referred to as the Boxing Day tsunami the world over.
And 9 years on, Newsfirst looks back at some of the memories of nature's fury.
Similar to any ordinary day, engine number 8050 set off from the Fort Railway Station towards Mathura at 6:55 this morning from platform number 5. The train left to Mathura recalling the bitter memories from 9 years ago. Just as on that fateful day, many of the passengers aboard this train were to get off at various points. During this journey, Newsfirst met with an extraordinary individual. He is Joseph Pereira, a passenger who travelled in this train on the 26th of December 2004.
The villagers were witnessing the disaster. The people were thinking that the train would not topple the first time the wave hit the land, and they all got into the train. However, the train toppled over. When the wave hit the land the second time, the shutters in the train collapsed into pieces. I don't know what happened thereafter.
The train continued on its journey. In Ambalangoda, flowers were presented to the engine driver. Subsequently, the district transport inspector of the coastal railway line made a special announcement to the engine driver. The train carrying the Newsfirst team then reached Paralia. Paralia is not a stop on the coastal railway line. However, the train made its stop at this location today in remembrance of the chain of events that took place from 9:26 am onwards on December 26th, 9 years ago. Railway officials placed floral tributes at the foot of the tsunami memorial in Paralia, remembering fellow colleagues and passengers who died in the 2004 Boxing Day tsunami. The engine driver who operated the train on the day of the tsunami had managed to stop the train so that many could flee to safety as the tsunami hit Paralia. The memories of those who perished in the Paralia train disaster, considered to be one of the worst train disasters in history, will never be forgotten.
The commemorative event to mark National Safety Day was held in Kaludara today under the auspices of the Prime Minister D.M. Jayaratne.
The program commenced with a 2-minute silence observed for those who lost their lives in the 2004 tsunami. The event was held at the auditorium of the Kalutara District Secretariat.
If ever this country is faced with a tsunami again, we have a program in place to evacuate people within minutes and ensure there is no loss of life. We will implement this in several phases.
Also speaking at the event, Prime Minister D.M. Jayaratne had this to say.
Today there are people who sell drugs, people who smuggle drugs in, people who smuggle in ethanol and people who import inferior quality medication. The government is doing everything possible to put a stop to this, but the government cannot put a stop to this by itself.
Religious observances were held in Tangol today in memory of those who were killed in the tsunami. These observances were held under the auspices of President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Now, monks were brought to the venue for the religious observances from Carlton House in Tangol. The religious observances were held for 500 monks, including the chief prelate of the Askiri chapter and the Anunayaka of the Malwata chapter. Meanwhile, President Rajapaksa took part in religious events this morning at the historic Situlpawa Rajamahaviharya. The President also called on the chief incumbent of the Viharya and inquired into his well-being.
The Judicial Medical Department of the Karapitiya Medical Faculty says that the identities of close to 20 bodies discovered in the south several months after the tsunami have been ascertained.
Department head UCP Pereira said that 135 bodies and body parts that were discovered are currently at the Karapitiya Medical Faculty. The bodies were conserved by the unit established at the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital in 2005 to identify persons killed in the tragic disaster. Even today, clothing, equipment, letters and other materials found with these bodies can be witnessed at the Karapitiya Hospital. 135 bodies and body parts are currently at the Judicial Medical Department of the Karapitiya Medical Faculty. What is notable here is that even 9 years after the catastrophe, the identities of some of the people who were killed have not been ascertained. This is because Sri Lanka did not have a national level program in the event of a natural disaster on this scale.